Well. Welcome, you football-loving bastards. It's happened. It's Tuesday, the 18th of December. Myself and Dave recorded episode 27 yesterday. I thought I'd come on. I am Chris Phelps, by the way, as you can tell by my Mancunian accent. And a slightly sad and happy podcast today. This is just a quick one. And I thought I've got to get it out today with the whole situation. So about 10 to 10 this morning, I got a phone call from my old man. I was in the gym training and he's gone. The man has gone. Jose has gone. They've sacked him of immediate effect. I think it's the right decision. I said it yesterday. In my eyes, he'd gone. I couldn't see any way back. Them performances I kept banging on about were there for all to see. They were going to happen again at some point. We were going to play a big team. We were going to play within ourselves, not want to lose. Like I said yesterday, beating the drum, playing defensive midfielders at home. It's pointless playing two when you're supposed to be the positive team and attacking. It's not the United way. First season, you can forgive him. We won 2 trophies, did exactly what he said on the tin. Then from there, it's just regressed. Obviously, there was no idea. We came second last year, got more points in the Premiership, but there's no idea City were going to be so dominant. Fair enough. I don't think we would have won it, even if City weren't as good as what they were. It was a big chasm. I think it was 18 points in the end. I just think it's got to be done. United are now managerless. I also think, and a couple of things have happened today, is like there's been put Carrick in charge for training for a couple of days. He's the interim manager, which sounds ridiculous. And then they're going to appoint a caretaker manager to the end of the season. Now, one guy that keeps coming up, there's a couple actually, but one of them's Laurent Blanc, which sort of makes sense. He played for United for a season, won the Premiership. And in fact, I think it was 2 seasons he played. Won the league with us, understands Fergie. Probably get a tune out of Pogba and Martial, who we'll get onto in a minute. And I just think it could be the guy. It's easy enough for half a season, but then what happens then if he starts winning results? Is he going to be one of these ones when he gets the job permanently? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. But then there's other rumours it could be Solskjaer, and then there was even Wenger. Now, I saw something with Wenger saying he'd have a new job by Christmas, and it's a bit bizarre that this has happened. But obviously, Pochettino from Tottenham has been interviewed today, and he said, he's basically done the diplomatic thing. He's not said he's going or anything. He's happy at Spurs, but, it's not his decision sort of thing. So that sort of leaves the door open. And if the rumours of the social media guys who I follow on Twitter, who usually, one of them is absolutely on the money, they've told him to wait till the end of the season. So I think Mourinho was going one way or the other anyway. But I just think he's burnt his bridges. But as always with these footballers, I think personally player power has won. The fans won correctly because of what he did, but I also think them players are culpable for a lot of what's happened with Mourinho. They failed him as much as he's failed them. Whether they didn't get his training methods, they didn't get him, which looked like it. I mean, Mourinho, as I said, has been like a slapped arse for 3 years. It's £895 a night at the Lowry where he's staying. Obviously, it's not a lot of money to him, but he's going to have a hell of a minibar bill when he signs out in the next couple of days. He's never... And this isn't stuff saying it now that he's leaving, but he's never ingratiated himself to Manchester as a whole. It's just unfortunate. And I think from being someone who was dynamic 14 years ago when he started in Porto and people realised who he is, when he actually, funny enough, beat United, run down the touchline, then he gets the Chelsea job and, the rest is history. And he was a dynamic manager, but he hasn't moved with the times. Guardiola has been at the top of his game for about 8 years, sadly. Different teams. I sort of thought he was a checkbook manager, inherited good teams like he did with Rijkaard, and then obviously going to Bayern with Ancelotti and that. But that's simply not the case. He is a good manager. And the proof's in the pudding, unfortunately. He's gone. I think the way he plays football, and considering he knows the Premiership, was never going to work, especially at United. It's never going to work. It's just so... I don't think any team, to be fair, people want more. The players are more athletes. I've said for a long time, the United players don't look fit. I mean, that first 25 minutes, half an hour against Liverpool was absolutely atrocious. We were just hanging on by a thread. If Liverpool's decision making and shooting had been a bit better, he could have been blown out the water. So it just leaves a sour taste. It's the fourth manager since Fergie. It shows really how good Fergie was. I said it the other day. Fergie won the title out of rage more than anything because he was going to retire in 2012. We had it sewn up with 5 games to go, and then we blew it. Obviously, City, which is very rare for United, and Fergie. City won it, and the rest is history. We won it in 13. So I think watching, I'm not a massive fan of Klopp as a person. I think it's quite fake. If you're a Liverpool fan, it's great to see your manager jumping up and down. And sometimes, I've watched Mourinho thinking, show a bit of passion, show a bit of summer on the sidelines. We never got anything really. Very rarely fist pump or anything like that. And he was certainly none of the antics that he did at Chelsea and in Porto before, running on the pitch and sliding down. And even the stuff he did at Barca, Revel for Real Madrid against Barca, the sort of fights and thing he got into, it gets the fans on his side and stuff. I don't mean poking someone in the eye, but which is what he did. I mean, from the respect of believing that he's fighting for the cause of your team. And he's got a great payoff now. I mean, he's not daft. He's fucked it all up at United. I honestly believe, after what we talked about and digesting the podcast yesterday, he knew what he was doing with that team. He set us up to defeat. I don't care what anybody says, but what does Paul Pogba do today? Irrespective of what I feel about Mourinho, I've obviously heard that quite a few times. That bell end, or supposedly social media. He was doing an Adidas event yesterday. Dybala was there. Dybala, sorry, from Juventus, one of his friends. He's got a tracksuit on. So Mourinho gets sacked at 10 to 10, half 10, Pogba. Straight there, hashtag Adidas, which sort of tries to get him off. Looking to the camera slyly, caption this with a little smirk, which basically to everyone and his dog means fuck you, Mourinho. But it then gets deleted within 5 minutes. And I've got to give Gary Neville credit. He come up with caption this, do one as well. And he's right. Neville will know what's going on. Neville has worked with Pogba before. It might have been at the back end of his career, but he knows about Pogba. There's just something there. And like Lingard, I got onto Talk Sport today and got through at like 10:30, and I was literally on for 2 lines. I said, Pogba and Lingard are rubbish. They're just terrible players and not ability. Pogba's ability is not in question. He can be one of the best midfielders in the world, but you're not a good player when you've got a bad attitude like that. I'm sorry. You can have all the ability in the world. Ravel Morrison is another one. Myself, Dave, and Ben were talking yesterday, and Ravel Morrison had more ability than probably most players over the last 15 years. He was that good. And I know quite a few personal stories. A friend of mine works at United, said most of what was said was true. His attitude, I'm not necessarily saying the robbing the watches, that which he got accused of, but his attitude and everything was just horrendous. I know people who know him, my sisters were in his class at school. Everything you read or everything you heard about Ravel Morrison, unfortunately, was true. The good and the bad, and there was plenty of bad. And his attitude and the toy gangster stuff, he believed he was a gangster, and that it's just ruined his career. I think he's in the Argentinian league now. And that lad's got so much ability, even for United, England as well. He could have been so good, but it's just another one. And I think with Pogba, it's a big decision for him now, because I can guarantee that all them players who've down tools are going to fucking play out the skin now. United are going to move up. Move up as far as you can move up from 6th position, but we could potentially sneak 4th place now with the right manager, the right team selection, and I mean that by playing Sanchez in his right position, playing Fred off Pogba, forget all this 3 midfield, 3 anchored midfielders. Pogba needs to be pushed forward. He's not a quarterback. He's not a Scholes. He can find a pass. He's got a shot on him. He's got the ability, but I just don't like his attitude. And I think if you're going to get rid of people, sell him in the... And that's the problem, I suppose, as well. I'm sort of talking and thinking at the same time, so I'm sort of trying to not contradict myself. But if you're getting a caretaker manager in, he's pretty much not going to buy players unless the one who's coming at the end of the summer, end of the season, is authorising them, because they're going to end up with loan players, or they're just going to stick with the squad, because I don't understand how they're going to give a caretaker manager for 6 months 100 million, 150 million. I think they'll buy players, but it might be a couple of smaller buys to tide us over, a couple of like half-decent defenders. I honestly don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm saying this out loud, so apologies if it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I don't know what's going to go on. It makes for great TV. I've sat there this morning. I've been up since 12:30 because of work, because of bloody call outs and knobheads ringing me, which is sort of, I've had no sleep. So I was back here for 9 o'clock, and all I've done is sat there watching, did a little bit in the gym trying to wake myself up. But I've just been sat there and talk sport and that, trying to cope with what's going on, really. It's just sad. It's just the sad, sad state for whatever people think. And I know Dave and Ben, we may disagree, but United are the biggest club in the world. People will disagree. I get that, but they simply are. And Real Madrid and Barcelona have a reach that is close to United, but even on the financial stuff, United beat everyone. And that's the sad indictment. The only thing I can see with this is because of the rumours regarding a takeover, and I've heard this from some insiders as well, and obviously we all have insiders. How true that information is, I do not know. But this guy said that if this Saudi guy takes over, and don't get me wrong, I'm not endorsing any of this stuff that's gone on in Saudi Arabia and things that have happened, so don't get me thinking on that, wires crossed on that. But the big thing was, if they were going to take over the club, Mourinho was not going to be the manager. They do not want Mourinho as the manager. And I think this might be the start of a jigsaw coming into place. By the summer, everything will fall into place, because if them wankers, the Glazers, finally sell, they'll make a lot of money, fuck them off, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they absolutely messed up. They went from a great franchise to absolutely nothing. They did the same thing with them. They've had the money out United. Yes, we've had players. He's had money, and that's the thing. A lot of fans kick off. I'm not one to kick off. I've paid for my season ticket for 8 years, love the club. Like I say, I've not got it this season, which is unfortunate. And that's purely from a financial point. I've gone over that before. I just think whoever comes in now, we can't be here in 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. They've got to let someone come in and run that club. And I mean, Ed Woodwards gets involved, him and his fucking false wig head. Fuck him off. I'm in charge of the football. You're in charge of bringing in the fucking latest pot noodle sponsor, or the watch sponsor, or whatever, toilet roll sponsor, whatever stuff you do. And he is good, Woodward, at what he does. There's no doubt that he's a great businessman at running a business. He's a finance guy. And that's it. He doesn't run a club. So they're going to director of football him to oversee all that, oversee transfers with the manager, let the manager coach, or just be a head coach and do it that way. Whichever way you do it, and then we'll see. And I'm quite excited now. I know the season's pretty much over in the Premiership, but this is also, and I'm putting you all on warning, all you Liverpool fans, City fans, whoever listens to the podcast, and I know there's a few, we're going to cause you all some problems now. And I mean that sincerely, because the fans will not accept what's got on. We were second last year. Yeah, we were second by default. And I also think because Liverpool faded off because of the Champions League and their Champions League final and that, it faded Liverpool off a bit. But we are going to cause some problems. And I'm pretty sure that, yeah, we might lose some. No doubt about it. Giggsy took over from Moyes. We all thought he was going to start playing football again. I think he lost 2, 1-1, drew 1. So it wasn't a great thing for Giggsy. So I'm not saying that at first it's not going to happen, because the caretaker manager's got to come in, stabilise the club, try and give him some sort of confidence. I don't know. I mean, I've seen some top things on there. Fucking Big Sam. There's been all sorts of shit. Even David Moyes apparently still getting paid by United. He's got 6 months on his contract. They're still paying that fucking knobhead. So even he might come back and make a race, or LVG. I'm pretty sure he's getting a bit of a backhander as well. But I genuinely believe that people like Liverpool, who were due at Old Trafford on the 23rd of Feb, it is either side of the Paris Saint-Germain games in Champions League and the Paris Saint-Germain game, we might have a chance if he plays his strongest team. Now, for me, my strongest team would be De Gea, Shaw, Bailly, Lindelof, who's proven himself. I know he made a bit of a mistake on one of the passes on Sunday, but it didn't lead to a goal, thank God. But Lindelof and Bailly, or Bailly and Rojo, fuck Jones and Smalling off. Why he got a 5-year contract, I do not know. Let's hope that they can sack Smalling at the same time. Right back, I would go Dalot. Let him settle in, let him do half the season, let him make some mistakes, but he's a dynamic right back, as is Luke Shaw. Bombing forward, old school United. That's exactly what we want. Gary Neville, Dennis Irwin, Gary Neville, Patrice Evans, that sort of stuff. So that at least they'll attack. Dalot's got a great cross on him. There's your back four. Midfield, for me, I would go Fred and Pogba. Get Fred in front of the defence. Let Pogba run free. Not only free-man midfield bullshit. Done. The problem I've got then is the wingers. Now, I am not a big fan of Rashford, as you know, but I would go Rashford on the right, Martial on the left, Sanchez off Lukaku. And then if Sanchez can't play, Mata off Lukaku. And there is our strongest team, and man for man on the day against anybody, City, Liverpool, anybody. That team will cause problems. And I think with Fred there, left footer, dynamic, get stuck in. I honestly think if you can get him right, and if not, get Pereira there filling in when Fred can't play, that is our strongest team. And against anybody, we will give them a game. I genuinely believe that. I believe that's the best team we've got. All the others can fuck off out of the team. Matic, too slow now. I've stuck by him. He's a good player on his day. Not dynamic enough. Can't have the tree. He's fucking wank anyway. Jones Smalling, gone. Valencia's had his day. Ashley Young's had his day. Ashley Young's effort and ethos of winning and knowing the United way, fantastic. I'd keep that guy on as a coach after he finishes at United because I think he gets everything about the club and I think he's got the right attitude to do that. But now, get rid of all these older ones. We're an aging team. It's pretty much what has happened with Moyes. We've ended up with a few aging players and that's it, done. So there's me rant. I hope it makes sense. Dave and Ben will be back for episode 29, which could be this evening because I believe they said they're going to try and dissect a bit of the game together, even though me and Dave talked about, obviously, Dave and Ben are both Liverpool fans. And then on top of that, they're obviously going to talk about the Mourinho situation, take the mix. So this has been the United rant number 4. Hopefully this is the end of it. This is the Mourinho rant. Thanks, Jose. First season, great. After that, dog shit. I've been Chris Phelps. Get following this podcast at Chat Footy on Twitter or Chat Footy Podcast, which you've obviously probably found on your podcast catcher, iTunes, all others around the world. Get following Dave and Ben's podcast, the Grassroots Coach Cast, on iTunes, which is regarding coaching youths, boys and girls. Dave coaches the girls, Ben coaches the boys, and it's under 11s at youth level, and all the trials and tribulations that they come across with parents and everything else. And they're on Twitter at Grassroots Coachcast. And then my podcast is the Contextual Podcast. So get over there. Episode 50's just gone up with a good friend of mine, Andrew Hunter, talking about Pro Evo, FIFA, United. This was all pre, obviously, Mourinho going. Yes, so get over and follow me at Chris Phelps 78 or at Contextual on Twitter, whichever you want. The Contextual one is the actual podcast one, but I'll post all my links through my personal account, and it's Contextual Podcast on iTunes. And then last but not least, mine and Dave's absolute baby. We've just hit episode 50 with special guest Mike Lee Graham, who's a fantastic artist. We reviewed Superman 3 and we did a musical number, me and Dave. We went back to the band days, whether it's good or bad. We had a great time, and I must say, it's our best episode by a country mile. Absolutely loved it. We had such a laugh. And Mike, he's so infectious. What a top guy. So get over there. That's at Comics in Motion P on Twitter or on iTunes at Comics in Motion Podcast. And get over there if you like comic book TV, comic book based TV and film reviews. All right, guys, take care. This has been Chris. Mourinho rant over. Let's hope that the next one, I am smiling. And those two Scouse bastards can stop with the smug podcasts. Love you guys. Bye.